Okay, we'll talk about the break, continue, return statements. These all are actually keywords. Return, we've already used this one. Return types, when method syntax time, we talked about return type is a void. We'll talk about whenever method is returning something. But anytime any program execution to be stopped and a return, nothing to. After return statement, any statement will not execute. That is the return keyword. Continue keyword will be used in a for loop or do while loops to skip the execution of that loop. We will see with an example what is it. And the break keyword is to break the execution. In switch case statements we will use break the execution. I think in a switch case here we put a break keyword. You see, case X is executed, then it will break the loop. It will not gonna execute this or any default ones. If you take out this break, X, Y, those two statements will be executed if expression is true. It will get inside and execute these two. We will see an example on that when we get into. For now, break and return, continue keyword. These are very helpful. Return we will be using majority of the time. Continue is not that of like much usage, but just remember, interview perspective, people may ask about these keywords, core Java basics keywords. We will see an example on this as well. And then Java methods. We can create two types of methods. One is predefined methods, another one is user-defined methods. Predefined methods means which are coming from Java API or any libraries are providing. We did an example, math.min, right? Math.square root, math.power. So this math library is a part of a Java API, java.lang.math, and power is a method which is taking two parameters. These methods are called predefined methods, which are available from API. And in a person class, we defined a method display function, right? This is user-defined method, okay? Predefined method. And second one is user-defined method. Example for this, person class display function in person class, function in person class. And the predefined methods, example, math dot power, any method from Java API. It's called predefined method. That is an example, right? And what is the syntax for the Java method? We talked about this one. I'll be just put it here so that whenever you guys are referring nodes, you can see. Syntax for the method or a function is access specifier, and then return type, what this method will return. And then method name or function name, you can say. And then inside brackets, parameters. You can create a method with the parameters, without parameters. It depends on use. And then open brace and closed brace. And here, if you have a return type something other than void means this method not gonna return anything. If you have something to return in the method, then we will be adding a return. And then if it is an integer return type, we'll return 2. And semicolon. If it is a string return type, we'll put that. We'll see an example. Return is depends on the return type defined in the here. Let's take an example. Let's say access specifiers, as I mentioned, public, private, protected, public, and return type is a void and a display function. I'm not passing anything here. This is without any parameters. Let's say I would like to display name of the person, whatever, pass it to a function. So public void display. Inside this param we can define string name, and inside this system dot out dot println, we are just printing whatever user passed, your name plus and name here. That's it. This is taking a param, return type is empty, it is not returning anything, and printing this one. Let's say I'll calculate a sum. I'll create a method. Whenever calculations are happening, we want to get back the result, right? Let's say public and int calculate sum of two numbers. First param into A and second param into B. Both integer types we are passing, and return type is integer. So here you need to must and should add a return statement, A plus B. That means this method type of a return type is integer. Addition of two integers will be an integer. This is the return type. We can play this with syntaxes and more. What is the return type, compiler, how it shows errors if we put like integer and try to return other than integer, or if we don't add any return statement, how compiler will complain, we'll see. Take an example. Go to person.java, try to define here and see this is integer. Let's comment out this, and you see it is highlighting an error. If you hover here, it says the method must return a result of type int. That is an error. So we are returning this one. Let's say if you put return type, return some string you put, and it is showing an error. What it is saying? Cannot convert a string to int, which means what it is saying, you are returning a string type, but a method is expecting to return an integer. So this is a mismatch, that error. This way you can see compile time itself an error, whether this function is correctly programmed or not. Easily compile time it will show up. Okay, so I'm deleting this here. Go back to notes here, and okay, here you can see example. This is the syntax. Just put here syntax of the method. You have to remember syntax so that you can write functions nicely. We'll be using more how to write functions. And then I talked about access specifiers, and there is another thing we call static methods versus instance methods. Instance methods means like person class has display function, right? Very first class, we've created person class object here, right? If you go main here, person object name, new person. We'll talk about this again, and it is taking name and height. Just pass name and height as like 6.0 or 6, and name as John. Now we have an object created for class person, right? If you try to access this person dot display function, this display function called instance function. Instance function, right? And within the app class, we've created string concatenation class, right? If you go to person class, try to access here app dot, you see, print all data types, print name, main, all these we can access. But the same way, without creating an object, just with the class name in app.java, if you try to access person dot, what are we getting? Nothing, right? That is the difference. Static instance methods always access by using the object, means like creating the instance of a class and accessing these methods only via this object. That is called instance functions. If you place a static keyword in your function definition, that means it is a static function. You can access that with class name. In here, in person.java app dot, let's say you can call main or you can call these functions. All these are static functions or static methods you can call. Static methods will be occupying memory as soon as application gets started, but all other instance methods will be occupying memory as soon as object is created. Once that object usage is done, garbage collector in Java, garbage collector automatically cleans up this memory. If it is creating more memory, occupying more memory, applications won't run in an expected way. That's the. And then we will get into arrays after this. Let me add a static function and function or static methods. Static method example. String concatenation method in instance method example. Display function in person class. This is an instance method. Okay, let's go to arrays. Similar, if we want to put together similar sort of data in one place, how do we put those? That arrays are fundamental functionality